This is TWiT.
Remember when VR started making waves just a couple of years ago and everyone was talking about how cool it would be to watch a movie in 360 degrees? Did you ever actually try that? It's kind of not awesome. The action can literally take place anywhere around you. You don't know where to look. You spend all of your time rotating all around. It's not passive in any sense. So a while back, Google announced a new video format called VR180. It's meant to be an easy entryway into creating content that's perfect for viewing in VR by cutting the field of view in half. Instead of looking for that thing behind you, everything's positioned in front of you. And because that fixed location, it makes it easier to include stereo imaging with two cameras, which is exactly what the VR180 spec is all about. Enter Lenovo. Last week, I reviewed this, Lenovo's new Mirage Solo with Daydream standalone VR viewer. And this week, I'm taking a look at this. This is the Mirage Camera, which looks a lot like a point-and-shoot, actually, but with eyes. That's because the two fisheye lenses on the front are designed to capture stereoscopic photos and videos that can be viewed inside of your VR viewer of choice. I'm sure Lenovo hopes that it's theirs. First, let's pick apart the hardware. The dual 13-megapixel f2.1 aperture lenses combine to make a single 180-degree stereoscopic still image, as well as up to 4K video resolution, including electronic image stabilization. However, you won't find a viewfinder on the camera itself to test the framing. There's none on here. You're going to need a phone running Google's VR180 app to see the preview feed from the camera. More on that in a second. The camera has 3 buttons on top: power, shutter, and this F button that actually changes the function of the device. This is how you cycle between shooting still images and video. Live streaming via Wi-Fi is an option as well, but that must be selected from the app on the phone. Now, when the camera is on, blue illumination indicates the modes since, well, there's no screen to put that mode information onto. So you know you're connected to Wi-Fi up top, and then on the back, you know which shooting mode you're currently on. You can actually open the flap next to the mode display, and in there you have USB-C charging port, which is nice, and a micro SD card slot for expansion of up to 128 gigs of additional storage beyond the 16 gigs of internal storage. And then down below, a standard tripod screw for all of your mounting accessories. You can also slide this panel to access the removable 2200 milliamp hour battery, which holds around 2 hours worth of use. All in all, the Mirage Camera is compact. It's lighter than you'd expect, maybe even a little hollow to the touch. Inside, it's packing a Snapdragon 626 processor with 2 gigs of RAM. Now, as I said before, you do need the software on a phone if you wish to check out the preview. The app itself is pretty basic, but it does the trick. There you have access to basic information such as battery and storage that's remaining on your camera. But more importantly, you have access to previously shot footage, complete with a cardboard button if you want to view this on a low-rent setup, as well as to connect to the camera for a live, if not slightly delayed, feed of what it sees in real time, with the option to then take pictures, record video, and even stream directly to your YouTube account in a matter of seconds from the app. Most of this can be done from the camera, actually, without the need for the app running, but then you won't know what you're shooting until it's too late, so be forewarned. As for the quality of the content, it's easy to hear 4K and think that the video quality is going to be sharp as a knife. The reality is that while the image quality is acceptable, depending on your source material, you're going to get wildly different output. Keeping the camera in a fixed position, I found, helps to improve the image of both stills and video quality, and also makes you a little less seasick when you're in a VR viewer. Bright light sources will not really balance very well with darker, more shadowy parts of the image. That's thanks to a lack of HDR, and of course, the f2.1 aperture isn't doing any favors here either. Also, due to the fisheye lenses, if the object gets a little too close to the camera, it makes for a challenging view in VR. You might need to cross your eyes a little bit. And if it's at all windy outside, you get some nasty audio artifacts from the unguarded onboard microphones. Now, the live streaming to YouTube is a unique feature here. It does require a connected phone, as that's the conduit for the stream, which is a little bit of a bummer. And you must have a verified YouTube account to actually stream publicly, which, by the way, is easily done. You just head over to youtube.com/verify and you can kick off the process. This might be the perfect extra feature for, say, famous YouTubers, rabid hardcore audiences that want more content from their favorite creators. Going live is undoubtedly way easier than a long edit process after all, and 3D content is a nice added bonus for fans who care. In the end, the Mirage camera, I'd say, serves its purpose. It's a quick and easy to use camera for shooting palatable 3D pics and video with minimal fuss. The quality is perhaps not as polished as it could be, but you're kind of trading convenience for quality to a certain degree. After all, the camera is $299.99, and that's actually, believe it or not, pretty inexpensive when you compare it to the ginormous and complicated other 3D cameras out there that have been around for a while. The Lenovo Mirage Camera is the first to support the VR180 format, and I have no doubt that future offerings are going to continue to offer more competitive features. It's an immersive format. It definitely deserves more time and attention. I'm Jason Howell. Find me on All About Android, Tech News Weekly, Triangulation, and a whole bunch of other shows, including the new screensavers here on TWiT.tv.